special education teacher.
Hello?
Of our community, so he's charged. Congratulations, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, that'll be good.
And the only other thing is,
This is David on the GoToWebinar. We're not able to hear anything from the auditorium. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, this is Kevin Curley. I agree. I can't hear anything from the auditorium.
Yeah, and this is Warren Whitney. I cannot either. I can hear you all.
Yeah, I think they're having an issue getting the audio to us from the auditorium. So I know they're aware of it, so they're working on it.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of things are.
I think we can hear you now.
All right, Commissioner Curley, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, then let's go ahead and we'll start this meeting. We'll start with a roll call again.
Commissioner Dan Zeisen, Commissioner Finter, Commissioner Hernandez,
Here.
Commissioner Lawrence, Commissioner Layton, Commissioner Milhaven, Commissioner Toma,
Here.
Commissioner Whitney,
I'm here.
Vice Chair Curley,
Here.
and Chairman Lindblom.
All right, I'm here. So, okay, let's go ahead and jump into the agenda. Glad we can all hear each other. Who's presenting on, oh, I'll read this. Do I have to read this for zippers? Do I need to read all the announcements for a zipper? I will. All right. Attorney's always killing the mood. All right. All right, here we go. We appreciate you. We need you. This meeting's been noticed in accordance with open meeting law, ARS 38-431. Agendas are available within 24 hours of each meeting in the Maricopa County Planning and Development Office. And they're also available on the Planning and Development website 1 week prior to meeting at www.maricopa.gov/planning. With respect to the zipper meeting process, items will be considered in the order they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed to by the commission. Anyone wishing to speak shall notify staff via email or raise your hand within the GoToWebinar. The amount of time allowed for speaking shall be at the discretion of the commission chair. Staff will provide the chairman with the names of persons who've registered and noted desire to comment, and those registered participants who have raised their hand. The chairman will call on each named participant one at a time. Next slide, please, because I don't have the card. Oh, isn't there a back to that card? Oh, just the one. All right, we're through. All right, let's go ahead and start with our normal agenda item. Staff, you'd like to present on it? Let's
Awesome.
go for it.
Oh, thank you, Chairman Lindblom and Commissioners. Adam Cannon, Planning and Development. we're here to update you on a couple of big projects that we're working on countywide. The first of which is the comprehensive plan update. Ron here will present an update on the update to the zoning ordinance that we want to share with the commission. So we're really excited to share both of those projects with you. We were last here in January to update the commission on the comprehensive plan. So we came to update you on round 1 of our public participation. We're here today to give you an update on how that's going, because we just held round 2 of our public participation with the comprehensive plan. But I'm just going to share some slides with you and go over that.
Great.
So just by way of background, the comprehensive plan is the long-range plan for the county and how it will grow and serve its community members in the future. We're updating that for the benefit of the audience because we have to. It's state mandated. We have to do it every 10 years. And this plan was last adopted in 2016. We also want to update the data in the plan because the data that we currently have is really old. We also want to reevaluate, revise our vision for the future, particularly because there's been a lot of growth over the last 10 years. So we want to see what the views of our county residents are and our stakeholders, which include county business owners and the development community as well. And so we also are updating this to align it with other county plans, initiatives, and programs. So the Parks Master Plan, the Transportation Master Plan, those have all been updated. So we want to make sure that our comprehensive plan is updated and aligned with those as well. So just again, by way of background, the areas that the plan will address is all the unincorporated areas of the county. What we're looking at for this update of the comprehensive plan is a more robust discussion on county islands and policies associated with that, whether they're urban or rural, and the differences that come into play. So that's something that you'll see later on down the line once we look at the draft plan and have that available to the commission. So for the benefit of the audience, the comprehensive plan is a document that's a policy document. It's not regulatory. It establishes broad policies that staff will often use in their staff reports during rezoning decisions. We'll mention those and it provides a guide for decision makers to be able to make decisions about development and growth in the county. There's a chart on here that is a inverted pyramid basically. And so it just gives kind of where the comprehensive plan falls in terms of the regulatory scheme that we have here at the county. So at the top is the comprehensive plan, broad goals and policies. From there, we also have the area plan program. Recently, we updated the White Tank Grand Avenue area plan. Those are more specific, but still yet broad goals and policies for that area. From there is, and from these documents, we look to those to set zoning and regulations within the zoning ordinance. And then even on a smaller scale than that is site plan review. And from there is the building permits. So that's kind of how that falls in the hierarchy of things. In terms of the schedule and process, last time we came here, we were in phase 1. At the end of it, we were in the reporting phase and working on a vision report for the comprehensive plan. We had held our first outreach surge where we held 5 in-person meetings and grand virtual meeting, so 6 meetings total. Since then, we've produced a vision report that's available on the website that gives the result of our public participation and makes that available to the public. We have also just finished our second round of public participation. We did another 5 in-person meetings across all the supervisor districts and a grand virtual meeting as well. And so we're in this phase 2 where we're getting ready to prepare that draft plan and have it out to the public for review. We're expecting that sometime around end of summer, early fall. and that would be available on the website and into the commission. We'll alert them once that's available. So just to give you an idea of where we held our meetings this time around, we had 5, one in each supervisor district. We held one in Chandler, one in Mesa area, unincorporated area, Anthem, and then Sun City and Levine. So this is the real meat of what we wanted to share with you today, and that's our summary from our public outreach surge and what our residents think about the direction that the county needs to go in. So in terms of our outreach methods, we had several besides our in-person and virtual meetings. We also had our technical advisory committee, which consists of several agencies statewide that advise us on the development of the plan. Includes everyone from, Arizona Rock Products Association, Arizona State Land Department. So that's an important piece of outreach that we do as part of the plan development. And then online, we have some really cool things that members of the public can participate in. One of them is a community survey. And one of the things that's awesome about our community survey is that it's not just a multiple choice, boring bubble text. There's actually pictures in it. There's different types of questions where they can rank categories and do different things with it. So we really like how that turned out. We also have an idea wall. The idea wall allows people to post whatever's on their mind. We ask them a simple question. What's your vision basically for growth and development for the future? People can get on there. They post some specific issues, but we've gotten a lot of feedback that have been really helpful to the development of the plan. They can post pictures, they can post videos. And so it's a really cool tool that we have for public participation. Lastly, we have our virtual mapping tool. People can go on to the website and on the map and pick a point and write a little bit about it, whether it's an asset, a challenge, or an opportunity. They can write a little blurb about what they think needs to be done with that location. So that gives us an idea. And even if the feedback isn't necessarily relevant to the broad goals and policies of the plan, we're still getting valuable feedback that we can share with other departments and divisions in the county at the same time. So moving on from there, just to share some of the findings with you from our survey, we always want to do some demographic research when we're putting together a survey. And so we ask a few questions to find out a little bit more about the people who are responding to the survey. Here we asked 2 important questions. A, what is your connection to unincorporated Maricopa County? One of the things that you don't have to do when you're updating a municipal general plan, it's a little bit easier to reach the residents in a municipality because you can notice them via a water bill. We don't have that in the county. So we have to really dig deep and find out who's responding to this so that we know that our residents in Maricopa County are responding. We also want to know if they own a business or work here, because that's important too. So 80% said they live in Maricopa County. We've got smaller percentage, a good 65% or so own property in Maricopa County. A smaller percentage own a business, but there's a good chunk that works in Maricopa County, so 37%. And then some people who just visit the county. So we wanted to break that down for people. Also, the next one is how long have you lived in unincorporated Maricopa County? And so the largest, that just gives us the ability to determine who's responding to this and know who's unincorporated or not.
We have a question real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Millhaven.
On the first slide,
Sure.
it adds up to more than 100%. So what's the denominator? 80% of
It
what?
wasn't a 100% question. You could click multiple answers on that one. So that's why it will add up to more than that, because they may own or
Be both
be both. Yeah.
or more than both.
And so the next question is, how long have you lived in unincorporated Maricopa County? There's a big chunk that lived here more than 20 years. And from there, you know, smaller, that's 11 to 20 years, 8 to 10 is around 13%, and in the last 1 to 5 years, 8.5%. Then there's a big chunk, and that's what helps us segregate the data a little bit better. That say NA, they may have not just responded, or they may be from municipalities. The next slide just goes over where we're getting our data from. So we have a lot of unincorporated communities within the county. And so this just gives an idea of some of those communities. As you can see, New Rivers on there, some lakes, Rio Verde foothills. So we're getting a decent cross section of a lot of the different communities that make up Maricopa County. Yep. One of the questions that we asked our survey respondents is, how important do you think certain topics regarding growth and development will be over the next 20 years? And the topics that are on your screen, you know, we had a ranking from very important in the blue, important in the orange, and not important in green. And so we highlighted, because we asked several topics, we highlighted the ones that came up as survey respondents said were the most important. And as you can see there, there wasn't one person who responded to the survey that didn't say water availability. What was not important. So it's clear that that's on the mind of our residents. It's a statewide issue. It's certainly access is a statewide issue, and we're watching that very closely. As part of the comprehensive plan, there is a water resources element, and so there are policies and goals that we assign to that element. In addition, also scoring strongly high was protect the natural environment. And so there's a lot of people who love the natural desert environment, and they're telling us that in the survey. They love their trails. Trails was mentioned 35 times within the survey, you know, that we counted. So that was actually one of the biggest mentioned. So that's really important to people. There's other very important issues. As you can see, housing affordability is on there as well, along with fire and rescue services and improving the transportation network. So one of the other questions we asked, this is kind of just another sort of prioritization topic. When deciding where development should occur in Maricopa County, our residents and survey respondents, you know, said that environmental impacts was the most important thing to consider, followed by park and open space availability, police and fire availability, response times. You know, as we grow, service response time becomes a bigger and bigger issue. And then there's the general character of the surrounding area, roadway connections and conditions, utility infrastructure. So that's where we're getting into these priority exercises, so it helps us develop these goals and policies later on for the plan. We also did some questions on housing. One of the things we were interested in is, you know, housing is a key issue statewide and nationwide. And so we wanted to dig a little bit deeper, especially as we are updating our zoning ordinance to look at ways there can be housing flexibility to provide affordability. So we asked, how does the county's housing stock meet the needs of home buyers? And as you can see here, it's about 50-50 just about. And one way we can explain that is, you know, the people who have the ability to have a home, they're responding that the housing stock's good. And on the other side of that, the people who are struggling to obtain a home, they're saying it's not so good. So it came very interesting that way to us. We also dug deeper on specific housing related challenges. And the top one that came up when we asked survey respondents was the availability of affordable single family homes. That came out to 75% of respondents finding that to be at the top housing challenge. Digging a little bit deeper than that and more specific, people said price point of starter single family homes was a big issue to them. Also, density came up. We hear that often. as a concern from residents. And also availability of middle housing options, things like townhomes and duplexes had a majority response when it came to specific housing related challenges. So we also wanted to dig deep on recreation a little bit. There is an open space element, and we want to make sure we're addressing goals and policies related to open space and recreational amenities. We asked our survey respondents what types of park, trail, or other open space amenities county is most in need of. And again, trails came up as number one on that response. We also had more local community neighborhood parks. So there is an appetite and desire for that, as well as more regional parks. And that's something we've been seeing consistent across the board in our responses. And lastly, and this is not all the data that's available in the vision report, but we just wanted to focus on some of these key topics. We asked an economic question: what types of industry should Maricopa County prioritize when thinking about future growth? And in that, the top topics came up as technology and healthcare related industries, which is where a lot of the growth is coming from that we're seeing in terms of interest from the industry and business community. So taking the survey responses and our feedback from the public meetings, in our virtual meetings, and all of our online participation methods, we kind of boiled these down into 3 themes that we were seeing. And the top, themes came out to be prosperity, stewardship, and opportunity. So for prosperity, we sensed that our respondents and our participants were looking to manage growth carefully to maintain the area's character and ensure prosperity endures. As far as stewardship, it's clear people want us to be a good steward of natural spaces, farms, parks, and with water availability and air quality also important to the county's future. And lastly, opportunity. People want the opportunity to have local affordable options for housing, gainful employment, and enterprise. And so that's what we were seeing broadly from the results that we got, and that will impact how the plan is developed and structured when we go forward. So I'm not going to go too deep in detail on the next slides, but I wanted to show you the last exercise that we did with the community in terms of getting their feedback. We did an interactive polling exercise. In some cases, when the crowd was too large, we did it via Menti, where people can use their phones and respond and get live survey results. But we also had just an in-person activity where we asked people to tell us whether they were optimistic, neutral, or concerned, and they can drop balls into one of the buckets. And then we'd ask a little bit deeper. They could put a little post-it note with a more specific comment. Maybe they were concerned, but concern didn't mean they were negative to it. They just were concerned and they had an extra point to make. Or maybe they were optimistic and then they wanted to write a concern. So we got some of that feedback. We did that for several topic areas. So we laid out a series of statements and asked people what goals and policies that support these statements would make you feel optimistic, neutral, concerned. And so that's how we're getting that feedback on how to develop the policies and goals once we get to the draft plan. We did that for land use, housing, which will include in one of the other elements. It's not a specific element, but it's a topic area we wanted to address in terms of policies. We also have transportation and open space, and environment, water, energy, just some broad topic areas. The reason I'm going through that quickly is because all of this is available online. It's at framework2040.com. We encourage the commission to take that survey as well. We do want their feedback on these topic areas and on these statements, so that brings us better feedback about how we develop the goals and policies within the plan. So. Oh, I missed one. Economy and cost of development. That's important too. So with that, I just wanted to leave it open to the commission for any questions that they had about the process, how it's going, any feedback you have for us.
Yeah, I have a question on it. Because we're taking the information we're gathering from people and then building a framework around it.
Mhm.
Do you feel like from your view, we're getting a good broad range of individuals that live in the county? Like, are we getting feedback from all demographics of ages and, all parts of the county? Or is it just a lot of like 55 older community comments, like that? You get where I'm going with this.
That's a really good
Input
question.
matters in how we shape. I want to make sure we're getting the soccer mom too, that's just busy raising the family, but matters, but
Right.
like, it's hard for her to show up and, participate. How are we?
So there's a lot of, that's an excellent question. The results do skew older, but that's going to happen in most circumstances.
Correct.
Because they participate more.
Yes.
So we are getting a broad cross section that is younger than that as well. I think, Stephen, there's a good mix of people 35 and older as well, between 35 and 55 that are responding to the survey.
Yes, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, that is true. We are seeing, while it is true, the results do skew towards the older part of the population. That is also reflective of the unincorporated residents as well.
Correct.
A
All right.
larger percentage of your population is in that age range as well. So there's,
And so what Stephen's trying to say is there's large concentrated communities that we're aware of that have 55 plus environment, but we're still getting quite a bit of responses from the 35 to 55. Where it's most difficult, and we'll admit this, and I think anybody taking or sending out surveys, is to get younger participants involved. We do have a couple responses, but it's not many. There are, like I said earlier, it's a little bit different when doing a municipal general plan. We have mailers that you can send out. We really have to get deep into these communities. For example, when we, for District 2, the meeting there, we sent outreach to some of the bigger communities there, but we also dug deep to some of the businesses. So we're sending invites to the businesses. We dug deep in the maps. Okay, what businesses are in unincorporated county? Let's reach out to them too. And so we got their email address and reached out to them. And so we're really trying to get a broad portion of feedback. We've certainly reached out to the development community as well on this, to get their feedback, and invited them, and also clients of the land use attorneys as well.
Great.
And so,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Okay. So next steps, we're in phase 2, you said. Can you go back to that slide?
Yep.
Right at the beginning.
I actually have a next step slide if you want to go.
Let's go into next steps.
So we have 2 rounds of outreach. So I told you about the idea wall, the community survey, and the interactive map. We've got a second survey, and that's the one we're encouraging people to fill out right now. And that's related to those topic areas and those statements leading to the development of the goals and policies. So online, we have a round 1 section and a round 2 section. And we encourage people, both will remain open until we just about right before the draft plan, and that will be until late summer, early fall. So there's several months that people still have to participate. We're also going to be doing another online outreach surge in terms of social media, e-blasts, and content going to the various county communities and registered areas of interest. related to getting them to fill out this new survey that we have related to the goal and policy statements. So that's what we're going.
Perfect. I will take that survey.
Awesome. We got one. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you for working on that. And it's good, important to get that out there too, why this is important. And I think I'll even, through some of my social media stuff, invite others to join it, because so often in these meetings, we talk about a comprehensive plan and people are like, oh, we weren't a part of that plan, you know, but they were invited to be, hopefully, and they just didn't. And so it's important. And I remember being very frustrated too, in the early years of Gilbert developing, where I was like, you keep referencing some plan and we were not a part of this. You know, I found myself saying that myself. So it's important to help shape the community the way we want it to be. So we'll try to help spread the word too. All right, Ron, you're up. What are you working on, Ron?
Moving to a little bit drier topic, the zoning ordinance. I want to kind of give you a brief update of where we are on the update of the zoning ordinance. First, try to stay close to this outline. We'll give a brief description of if I say Mesa County, sorry about that. That's a previous county that I worked for, Maricopa County Zoning Ordinance. A goal of the update, why we're trying to accomplish this update at this point, the future timeline, and then end with discussion of some of the future focus topics that we'd like to explore with our consultant. So I almost said it again, Mesa County. Maricopa County Zoning Ordinance is the primary regulatory document of the county, regulates land uses and development, essentially tries to encourage development that's compatible with adjacent land uses and at least not impactful to adjacent land uses. As Adam was indicating, it is a part of the comprehensive plan in that it is a tool for implementation of what's broader goal or the topics that are identified in the comprehensive plan. Basically, the ordinance provides for the types of uses that are allowed, how they can be developed in harmony with adjacent uses, and again, be least impactful. The ordinance was adopted originally back in 1969. It's received some changes, a reformat, reorder in 2001, and then multiple amendments in the past 15 years. I think it's estimated at least 70 or more amendments in the last 15 years. As is true anywhere, county staff takes a critical eye at the ordinance. We always see the opportunity for improvements. That's pretty common in any jurisdiction. Staff is always looking at ways to make the process easier, better, and more functional. Most recently, staff completed a comprehensive internal review of the ordinance. It included all of the planning staff taking a look at all of the sections of the ordinance and kind of taking a red pen to it and identifying the kinds of changes that would be needed to make the ordinance function. Where there were redundancies, where there were inaccuracies, where there were things that just didn't make a lot of sense that we should be exploring in the update. Then, in accordance with the objectives of the chair, Board of Supervisors, staff adopted or approved a contract with Matrix Design Group to assist on the update of the comprehensive plan. We've been working with Matrix since probably February of this year. So moving on to the goal of the update, we're looking at what are the expectations that we want to achieve with this update. I think the primary goal, and that we've identified, is to make the ordinance more functional, to make it easier to use, to reformat it to address some of the more modern uses, more modern types of things that have occurred since the 1960s. And one way to make it more functional is to include new graphics, tables, charts. As they say, 1,000 words, or a picture is worth 1,000 words. We'd like for some of the tables and charts and graphs to either, if not supplement some of the language in the code, then actually replace some of the language in the code, make it an easier code to understand, both for the public and staff. We'd also like to look at streamlining some of the processes. There may be opportunities where public hearings aren't necessary. That administrative approvals might be another way to address some of the issues, and to address them as comprehensive as they should be addressed, but not to waste time in the public hearing process if it's not something that's a part, or that's fruitful, I guess. We'd also like to look at updating some of our standards. Should we adopt greater heights for some of the industrial uses, residential uses? Do our parking standards make a lot of sense, especially for things or uses such as industrial warehouse? We need to look at that. And we have started, and again, with the comprehensive internal review that staff completed last year, we've started looking at some better ways to address parking for some of those types of uses. So the timeline, I'd say it's aggressive, but that's not true. It's very aggressive. We have 7 months to get this done. We're working with the task force, and the chair and vice chair, I think, are a part of that. And we have our second meeting this afternoon. We had a meeting last week with the task force to help direct staff and guide staff on the direction we should take. We will be holding public stakeholder meetings. 2 are scheduled, one in June and another in August. Of course, this zipper meeting, just to ensure that the Planning and Zoning Commission is aware of where we are in this process and what we're doing. We'll have eventually 2 public hearings in November and December of this year. Again, that's only 7 months away, 6 and 7 months away. So we're going to be working very, very aggressively with our consultants to get this done. So some of the focus topics that we're looking at with our consultants, our development standards, beginning with the first bullet. Do our building setbacks, our building heights, our lot coverage, our parking requirements, do they make a lot of sense in some of the uses? I know there are areas that we've determined that we could possibly explore as far as providing for some greater heights where they make sense, and reduce or eliminate some of the variance applications that are coming through constantly. We're looking at residential housing policy. Are there opportunities for providing flexibility in housing and opportunities for a mix of housing types, as Adam was indicating in some of the surveys that were a part of the comprehensive plan. Administrative procedures, permitting processes. Again, are there opportunities for administrative approvals as opposed to public hearing processes? Are there things that we can do to make the process function easier for the public and make a lot more sense? Use regulations. We're taking a look at all of the land uses and how they relate, sorry, to the zoning districts. One thing that we plan to do is create a new land use table that identifies all of the land uses for all of the zoning districts, so that you see how the land uses relate to the intensity of zoning, from the residential, from the rural to the residential to the commercial industrial. And then, of course, we'll consider the infrastructural limitations in the rural parts of the county. There are things that the county can't do that municipalities can do. We just don't have the utilities or the infrastructure to accommodate. So we want to make sure that we address the rural areas in a consistent way. And then finally, how the ordinance addresses the public health, safety, and nuisance controls. Basically, how the ordinance will ensure a better quality of life for all of the residents in the county, especially in the unincorporated areas where the development is controlled by our zoning ordinance. And with that, I think that concludes presentation. Staff is here to answer any of your questions and try to identify other issues that I
Mr.
may-
Gerard.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just to add, a lot of what you see come through here, we recognize there's a lot of repeat ideas. For instance, IUPDs in industrial that always ask for the height to be raised from 40 to 55 feet. RUPD in the residential that always asks for the front setback to be changed from 20 feet to 10 feet for the livable area, 18 foot for the face of the garage. So one of the simple things we're looking at is maybe we should make that the standard, the base zoning district standard. And so those are some of the things we're considering. So the things you see a lot that are requested in these UPDs, maybe they become part of the base zoning, therefore will maybe mitigate the need for these variances through UPDs and zoning land use questions, which are more black and white.
And I think it's great. As mentioned, I'm part of that task force that's meeting right now. I had the first meeting last week and one today, and just really love the concept and idea. It's time. I think we need to add data centers as one of the uses. I'm just joking. I'm making a Phoenix joke right now. It's the hot, heavy topic, but no, those are the types of things that we're looking at. It's been a while since we've made some changes, and there's things that just keep coming up, and there's definitely things that we need to look at that are different moving forward with as we become more urban and just really planning. So I'm happy we're doing this as the county, and I'm happy to be part of it. Commissioner Milhaven.
You may be way ahead of me on this, but just a couple of thoughts. I never understood why use permits needed a public hearing, because if the use permit is, if these conditions are met for this use, then it should be allowed. And so if you're looking at what could be administrative versus coming here, I think use permits might be, I don't know if there's regulations that prohibit that, but it always amazed me, right? People show up and say, don't approve the use permit, but if all the conditions are met, you have to approve the use permit. So that was one thought. And then the other thought I had was, on multifamily housing, right? If you've got single family homes, yes, there's a difference between a small lot and a large lot, but a multifamily is completely different and incompatible with the single family zoning. And some would argue to say multifamily is a commercial use. So would it be, would it be worth thinking about defining a multifamily project as a commercial use that would be allowable in a commercial zone? So just two thoughts.
Thank you. And I think even some of that came up last week on single family and how we define it. And, but the commercial side, I don't know that it was mentioned. So that was a good point. But Mr. Ellsworth, do you have something you'd like to share?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're looking for all that type of information and that type of feedback from the board. I was going to say what you hit on was exactly what about 20 to 30 minutes of discussion with the task force last week was on special use permits. The ones that we have, the ones that come before this body quite often that are quite controversial are the ways that we can look at making those be either the use by right, or one of the big one came up on different time limits. So do they shift into a zoning district, or do we come up with, per your comment, conditions where if you meet these certain conditions, they're just allowed? As Ron had mentioned and as Darren had mentioned, we're looking for those things that are more common that come before this body and the Board of Supervisors that consistently get approved. So it's leaning towards, these are those things that we've been hearing from our legislative bodies that are approvable. Let's just put them in the code, and it will save a lot of the angst of people showing up trying to understand why something's changing in their community when it's really the norm of what's happening.
Yeah, I've noticed that we have a lot of, every time we get some of these really highly participated, there is some tension that is created regardless of how we handle it between the county and those residents. And so the more we get ahead of this, the less tension there is there, the better that relationship is with the community. For sure, we certainly feel it as we make votes and then go out in those communities and live. But so I love what we're doing and how we're trying to answer some of these.
One of the things I'd also like to add is that we are working on a website where it will be out there that as we develop this draft, it will be available. Anybody on this commission, any thoughts that come into your head at any time, just go ahead and email those to us and we can get those in. Right now we're gathering all the thoughts that we can and trying to focus them in each of those topic areas that Ron had mentioned so that we can inform a draft. We're looking at trying to have, the direction we've been given from the chairman's office is to try to get this approved by the end of the year. So that would mean we need a draft out in front of the public by the end of the fall or even into September. Yeah. We're very aggressive for an overhaul of an entire zoning code.
We can do it. All right. Any other comments or questions from anybody else? All right. We're getting everybody participating today. Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Chair, Commission, board members, sorry to kill the mood again. With a legal update for you all. There was a lawsuit filed Monday evening. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it does name the county, this board, and each of the members individually.
Okay.
So now that I have your attention, it's regarding the Gold Hawk, is that the name? Gold Hawk community matter that went up for vote. They allege several issues in the complaint involving violation of open meeting laws, violation of the zoning code. They asked for declaratory relief and writs to correct what they see as deficiencies in that matter. So just to give you an update, that was just filed on Monday. It's really in the beginning phases of getting open and getting going. But nonetheless, you heard.
Who was the plaintiff?
Bart Shea.
Okay. Okay, great.
Represented by Snell Wilmer Law Firm. So any further developments, we'll keep you updated. You might be hearing from the clerk about the matter, being that each board member was named individually, but that'll probably be resolved as well.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to add, Gold Hawk zoning was approved by the board yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. It's just part of doing business. Will, we appreciate all of your effort. I heard somebody talking about a Texas law that allows if you're struggling with the municipality, you can like de-annex, and how that's been a really powerful tool for them to develop in Texas. And I thought about that and I was like, actually the county would be really great to work with. And so comps to you that I even thought that was a good thing if that happened here. But each of you are working really hard to make this place better, and we appreciate all your efforts for sure. So thank you. And hearing nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the SIPR meeting.